That was fast. Hey there, everybody. What's going on? This is Too Much Food. Thanks for stopping by for another show of the Game Buffet, where traditionally it's just me, Sincere, and Sopsky doing our whole gaming weekly news and opinion pieces that we got going on today. But today we have quite a few guests, and we're going to be going along the route of Shenmue. We got a lot of talk about. The hype is real. We got Shenmue 1 and 2 launching at midnight here in the States. Some people are already playing it because they're lucky bastards. And so we're going to get to it. On today's show, we always have Sobsky, who's co-host, joining us today. We got Mike. We got Shenmueso. Am I pronouncing that right?
That's right.
We got Corey Marshall and Adam Koralik.
Yo, what's up?
Thank you,
It's great to have you guys on, by the way.
For sure.
Traditionally,
since we're pressed for time, we're just going to blow through the whole introductions things. I'll give you guys bro fists via digital on Twitter later. But let's get straight to it. Shenmue, a few hours from now, it's going to be a reality on modern consoles.
For you guys, it's 3 hours, right? Or for at least food. I know you're in Eastern Standard Time. 3 hours for you to wait?
Yeah, earliest.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it's a thing.
Crazy.
Like
a
year.
long time. It took a lot of banging on Sega's door, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't believe it, man. I hope the like the updated game style or the updated gameplay mechanics gives it a breath of fresh air for like the newcomers, because I know it's going to look dated.
The two sticks help, yeah.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, you two have played it, right?
We've beaten it. I've had it for a little while. I've already beaten both of them.
Oh, man.
Now, let me ask this about the mechanics of it, because I worry about. I'm not so worried about like it being old. It's when I like move the stick and it feels wonky, like I can't control the character. Does it feel good when you use the sticks?
Well, he's still got
go ahead, Ben.
Oh, yeah, he's still got the same kind of movement to it, but I guess that fits the game world that he's built into. You know, they couldn't really come and change it completely into some kind of modern free roaming control, because it wouldn't fit the way that the world is built. But it feels really nice with the two sticks. You can now play it cinematically without stretching your hands into strange positions to reach buttons. But yeah, it works.
Or the old crab hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's a definite improvement over the Dreamcast version in that sense, in the controller sense.
I'm wondering if it's going to play like more like Yakuza.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because playing Yakuza
is a totally different game. That's a totally different game.
But everyone compares them.
Well, not everyone. I don't know why. Why would you possibly compare those games? They're not the same game.
I mean, it isn't the same game. I think it's fair.
I mean, some people compare them to Shenmue because it's like the spiritual successor or something like that. But
it's like, I don't know. That's like comparing Gravity Rush to God of War. I don't get that.
Wasn't Yakuza's like gameplay style or fighting at least influenced by like Virtua Fighter or something like that?
And then Shenmue's was.
Shenmue's was.
Shenmue was originally Virtua Fighter RPG.
Yeah. Exactly.
I knew that much from watching your show, your channel, but I was wondering if Yakuza kind of, because like there's some battle sequences like at least in the one that I tried, the Kiwami, where when you get into a fight it like rings off, like there's boundaries.
Yakuza's like a brawler.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Okay,
but it's not. I wouldn't call it. It's not a button masher, but
no.
Very hectic. The fighting's very hectic in that game, whereas I think you need to think more in Shenmue. If that makes sense.
It's a man's game. That is definitely true. Listen, we've only got Corey here for half an hour. We need to ask him if you ever found some sailors.
Did you find the sailors? I mean, by your facial hair,
did you check the Blue Oyster?
Well, can you really get enough of sailors, though? I mean,
we're getting plenty of sailors.
You're still on this endless quest to find that perfect sailor. If I'm not,
I need to know whether the sailors are going to turn up in Shenmue 3.
Well, we're not very close to water, I don't think, right?
Guilin's like way the hell up there in the middle of central China. I don't.
Yeah, now we're gonna find, I don't know.
I mean, maybe the sailors are looking for the water.
Corey, did you find it easy to tap into your inner teenager to go back to to play this younger character now? Like,
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I did find that little headspace again. I did. Of course, it's all those memories start flooding back again. And when I was doing a little bit of voiceover just recently, which was cool to get back into the booth again. Yeah, I found it really easy just to get back in, at least into that headspace, to remember where I was and all those things that I was feeling, and even just the life experiences that I had just living in Japan and all that kind of stuff. It all came flooding back, so it was pretty easy to step back into that.
I mean, to be fair, your voice hasn't really changed a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the thing that's going to be, if there is a difference in Shenmue, well, there will be. The difference would be the quality of the audio for the voice.
Yeah, and I wonder how we're going to record it as well. And I wonder if, they're going to keep that same style or not. And, we've talked about this before with Shenmue fans and stuff like that. And I wonder, like, how, you know what I mean? Like, how are we going to do it? Are we going to keep it relatively similar, or are things going to change? Or is the audio going to be more smooth in general? I don't know. That is a good question, and I cannot answer that at all.
I can't wait to find out.
It was actually a really measured performance, though. Like, I've been playing it again recently, of course, and Ryu's actually quite an interesting character, because he's not your typical teenager. He's actually got that quite.
He's very sophisticated for a teenager.
Yeah, quite an ethical, philosophical, focused kind of bent to him, more than most teenagers.
Yeah.
And just not giving two craps about Nozomi falling at his feet and all the rest of it. Like,
that was dark. That was dark.
Well, and it's also, you also have he has a bit of bass to his voice already, even as a teenager. He's not, his voice is not your typical nasally, he's already kind of developing this kind of,
he's already like a grown man. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that goes along with somebody who does think about what they say before they say it, right? Somebody who's not just going to come out and say whatever's off the top of their mind. Yeah, somebody like Ryo Hazuki is the type of person to take something in, processes it, and then will speak on that. Not just he doesn't have a whole lot of words, but when he does speak them, of course, it's all part of his character.
Like, it all makes sense.
And that quality of character, I think, does translate into his voice. So yeah, you're right. It's not a typical teenage, maybe fast moving, high pitched. Yeah, he does take his time, and he does, since he is such an internal person anyway, he takes everything in. He takes the whole world into himself, processes it. So everything that he says and does is going to come from the inside anyway.
And what distinguishes Ryu from a lot of other protagonists in video games is you don't feel like you're being patronized by Ryu, the character of Ryu. Do you know what I mean?
I agree, he's very neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of his journey anyway, right? Like, he's on a journey himself, self-discovery, even finding out things about his family and his father and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of easy for us to go on that journey with him, right? So like you said, right, you're not feeling like he's even just the story in general. Actually, you don't feel like you're being punished, driven that story into you. You feel like you're going on that journey along with him, right?
Right. Well,
like you're compelled to learn the story along with Ryu.
Right.
Well, but it's also, I mean, you have to think. I mean, he watched Landy kill his father in front of him.
Yeah.
And there is still some of that, that temper. Like if in the first game, right after that happened, he went after, he did what you expect, in almost like in a movie. He jumps up and tries to fight Landy himself right there in the middle of the, right after they kills his father, and it sets up him, not just to me, not just going across and trying to find himself, but training himself for the moment he re-finds Landy, because ultimately he wants to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have that moment where he was utterly defeated. Not only was his father killed, he was defeated in combat, almost killed himself, and was only spared for whatever reason.
So that you could make the game.
Well, of course.
I mean, no,
right?
I'm just kidding.
But you know,
no, you're right.
So the thing is that he was utterly destroyed, crushed, and now he has to build himself back up, not only through character, right, but physically as well. So you're right about that. He does have to build himself up physically because he knows that he's unable to defeat Landy as he is now.
It's very interesting how they're going to take that in Shenmue 3 too, because, am I getting it right? He's only actually seen Landy twice.
Yeah.
Once in Shenmue 1 and once in the second on the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the helicopter.
I can't believe it's so weird that Landy's one of my favorite villains for a game, yet he turns up for what, like 5 minutes tops.
Yeah,
that's how you know he's good, man.
Exactly,
crazy.
right? Like there are some actors that you remember, you know, like Silence of the Lambs, right? I mean, how long was Hopkins in the film? But man, that's all you think about, right?
Yeah,
he even won an Oscar for that.
Right, and he was only in the film for like what, 18 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Well, you know, one of the movies that I always paralleled this to, and it's a cheesy movie, but it was one of the first times I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme was No Retreat, No Surrender, and it was sort of, you know, they came in, he was the bad guy, he, you know, broke his dad's leg, the kid tried to fight him for a second, you know, got embarrassed, and then spent the rest of the movie training to go fight him later on, and ends up, you know, fighting him and beating him. Whereas, you know, Shenmue kind of, you know, Roy was kind of on that same kind of, you know, path of revenge. And I was really surprised that they left the game open enough for part 3, because I don't think any of us ever thought 3 was coming.
I'm so glad
until a few years ago. So, you know, we always wondered, you know, when were we going to get that payoff?
Well, of course, one of the interesting things about it is, of course, that we are told that Yu Suzuki had written this whole entire saga from the beginning and planned it out. And so
he's known this story for years.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 7 games originally. He never thought it would stop until 7 games. So that's why 2 was one hell of a cliffhanger.
So I was wondering, Corey, like, how much kind of what direction did he give you in terms of the character development? Did he tell you the whole saga right at the start, or did he drip feed it to you?
No, yeah, he based. Well, I mean, you guys know as much as I do, believe it or not. On that, yeah, he did tell me. As he described them, chapters, and he mentioned that there's lots of stories. He did end up showing me some concept art and things like that, concept characters, and probably a lot of that is actually out now already. But
I'm wondering if the story has altered itself at all from when he wrote it to now.
Yeah,
because
that's an excellent question that I don't know the answer to either, and I don't see why not. I mean, we're all different people now. I'm sure he's a different person.
The story might be better for it. We never know.
Story might even be better.
From my understanding, like, it was supposed to be originally 7 games, which would span 18 chapters, is what Corey's referring to there.
Right. Right.
Under the new guide, if you believe what Yu Suzuki said like 3 years ago, the intention is to have up to 5 games. If he has to, he can do it in 4. 3 will not be the end of the saga, at least from a story perspective.
And that's a good thing for me. I don't want him to compress all that into one game.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Well, and now that there's a legitimate bona fide publisher, I think we're going to see some of that come to fruition. I don't think this is going to be the last one either, but you know,
I hope we don't need to wait like 18 years for it.
Right.
It all comes down to funding, man. The game sells well, then you'll see another one sooner.
Oh man, I hope it sells well. I mean, the Kickstarter's done brilliantly.
It needs to. I mean, it really does. It needs to sell well. But you know, so Corey, how are they approaching trying to bring this game to what's arguably a whole new generation you know, of folks now, and I'm talking about beyond just bringing out remasters, because the remasters are really built for us guys who, you know, whose friends stole their copy of Shenmue when they were a kid.
Right.
And you know,
I think
so
Sega would dispute that statement.
I'm sure they would, but you have to still sell this game to a group of people who are so used to Call of Duty and
Well-
games of that nature that, you know, what the mechanics in Shenmue 3 hopefully, you know, have to bring some of that new into the fold.
You know, this game could work well, I think, now. I think it was ahead of its time back in the day in certain ways. The gaming, generally the gaming kind of pool of people that play games is older, so there's more room for a more mature feel to a game, and there's an entire genre that is now well, loosely called a walking sim. I think people that like walking sims would like Shenmue. Not that it is one, but that it has a similar kind of...
It's a walking, working fighting sim.
Yeah.
RPG.
Right.
Well,
Free.
Say box stacking.
Work simulator.
So
you
your
know,
question...
Adam,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, so the question is essentially, how are we trying to sell this game to newer people? Corey, I think the what is Shenmue thing would be a perfect answer to that question.
Yeah. You know, the thing is that we are, you know, Shenmue was so innovative for its time, right? We're seeing a lot of games that are developed now because of Shenmue, and people are more interested in story arcs and characters and stuff like that. Well, at least, you know, I mean, there's a lot of games that I'm interested in that are like that, but, you know, I mean, like Fortnite or whatever is, you know, you're just going to go in and shoot. But I think a lot of people are interested in story and character and all those things. So I think as far as like it being the next Call of Duty or something like that, you know, it's not. I don't think it is. But I don't think
Shenmue, Shenmue 3 is going to have a battle royale mode. Watch.
Yeah, that's right. And that's not quite how I meant for it to come across. I you know, if you see what sells and what doesn't these days, you know, big games are, you know, are games like that, and you know, and yes, you can mix in, you know, like God of War, or, you know, things like that. Shenmue needs to fit into that mold of getting those gamers to take a look at it.
I think what you're saying is like, just how do they plan on selling it? Period. Right.
I mean,
right.
In today.
Well, you know, think about the parallel of Star Wars, bringing Star Wars to a new generation of fans, bringing Star Trek to a new generation of fans. How do you bring a game like Shenmue to a new generation of fans who may not understand it or appreciate it the way I do at 45, where I've you know, I've been all about it.
You know, movies like Star Wars or Avengers, for example, you know what I mean? I mean, Avengers is going to make a lot of money because they're able to spend so much, and they have all, and it's epic and it's amazing, and people go not only to see their favorite characters, but it's just eye candy as well.
It's a spectacle.
Yeah, it's a spectacle. People do love that, and that is going to sell. Shenmue is not that. It's not going to sell the same way. If that is your question, it's not going to be an Avengers.
No. I get that. Yeah. Which is why I didn't use Avengers. I used more of Star Wars, because you have, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, it had a specific look. You come to now where that look is way different, and what people are looking for when they go to see a Star Wars movie is not, you know, the same lightsaber fights they saw then. They want to see flash and bang and stuff like that. So, you know, gamers are not that dissimilar if you see what's selling out there now versus what's not. And I want this game to, I want people to see this game as we saw it, you know.
But look how successful those games like Heavy Rain are, and that kind of thing. I mean, those games are doing really well, and those are a completely different thing, like more narrative-driven.
I mean, even Yakuza, like, I know you can't see a comparison from Yakuza to Shenmue, but most people do consider it like the spiritual successor to Shenmue, and that sells pretty well. I mean, there are similarities, So I think you never know. Shenmue 3 could go that direction.
Yeah. And maybe if I could explore, maybe you guys could help me with this, explore the same Star Wars idea. When 1, 2, and 3 came out, it was a spectacle, and it was less, I guess, loved by fans and critics alike. The newer ones, although they do have some extreme haters out there, are more narrative driven. Yeah, it does have a different look, and they do have more money and computers and all that kind of stuff. But I think
you can compare 7, 8, and 9. I'm guessing 9's going to be similar to 7 and 8, more to the originals than you can.
Right, and I think that's my point, is that they're trying to go more back into that direction, as opposed to a Phantom Menace or.
And they're completely different directors. I mean, George Lucas directed the prequel trilogy, and they were completely different to the originals.
Right.
So.
Anyway, I'm just trying to make some more comparisons to Star Wars there, since we were talking.
We'll get more information tomorrow. You guys know that, right? Like, they're doing a Gamescom announcement.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so they're gonna have more stuff in there.
Well,
about
anyway.
Shenmue 3.
Yeah, but I think that so Adam mentioned, what is Shenmue, and I think that if we can compel people to go off of story and narrative, character, that kind of thing, I think that's what it is, and I think that's how they should do it.
So, in case you're not familiar with what he's talking about, Sega put together a few different videos to promote
those video series.
Yeah, that what Shenmue is. I'm saying that for more of the listeners too.
Sorry,
in case you're not aware, they made a series of videos starring Corey there to basically explain to a new generation of gamers of what it is. Also, part of their strategy was to, frankly, talk to fans. I mean, myself, Ben is one of them. There's so many other great people in the Shenmue community, just being like, asking us, like, what do you love about this game? How would you present it to people? And I've been giving them feedback and stuff, and that's largely how they've been going about it, just trying to use our words to try and help explain it to people. And that was like the basis behind like that Dobuita video I got to do with them in Japan. And I love everything about this because working with them directly, I can tell you that they have tried very hard to understand that fan base and to make it happy and to satisfy it. And it's just been very cool, and they get it. I'm just saying that they get it, and that they're trying their best to present it to a new generation of gamers, as you point out, who maybe won't understand it right away, and just try to explain, like, here's why it captivated a whole bunch of people. Why don't you give it a shot?
Yeah, that's really important. And looking from the outside in, that's definitely me. I'm like I said earlier before we're on air that I'm the guy in the world who knows most about Shenmue, who's never actually played Shenmue. And I
have
learned
no excuse now, by the way.
I will. As of tomorrow, physical copies, no digital. I learned everything that I know about Shenmue through, via Adam. And I think something like that's extremely important, because when you're passionate about something, like in the art form, you gotta go out there and you gotta talk about it. And I'm like that with Halo, but Halo doesn't need like a crutch in that sense. Like, everybody knows about Halo. I talk about Kingdom Hearts, which I feel like I was in that same boat, but at the same time, because I knew Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming, but no one knew if Shenmue 3 would ever happen. So that's why it was such a huge deal, but everybody needed to talk about it. Like, tell your friends, hey, have you ever heard of this game? And do that whole, what you kind of expressed, like, what is Shenmue? Because I feel like I heard the whole what is Shenmue thing before Sega did those videos, because I heard it from people on Twitter and people with their own YouTube channels. So word of mouth, I think, is very powerful. And I hope that everybody, and I'm sure, but I hope everybody who played a big role in getting Shenmue 3 to be a thing continues to go out there and spread the word about this story, because there's so much, obviously, and that has been left out because of reasons. But I think this is a good start, and it's the best time to be a gamer and for Shenmue to be part of this process. it's a big deal, because right now we're moving closer to a more unified gaming way of gaming, and it'll be good for whatever series or franchise is still like in the living room as of today. And to play Shenmue up until today, you would have to have had an emulator, a Dreamcast, or the Shenmue 2 copy for the OG Xbox, and not everybody has that option or that ability or capable hardware in that sense. So I think word of mouth is very powerful. People,
Can I ask? Go on, Corey.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I totally agree with that, because sometimes, you know, I think maybe all of us have heard stories about where people have talked about it and other people have been like, oh man, what is this? I mean, perhaps maybe their friend had talked about it and it wasn't even on their radar. That's not even their kind of game, or whatever the case may be. And then they play it at first, and maybe they, you know, they're like, oh, well, I don't know, it's okay. And then they play it some more and they're like, you know, they kind of get into it a little bit more. It's one of those where once you start to play it a little bit, you're like, you can start to get really hooked on it. And I remember hearing stories where people were like, yeah, I didn't even know about this game. It wasn't even, as I said, on my radar. And then I started playing it, and all of a sudden, like, I had to come home and play it every single day after school or whatever the case may be, you know? So yeah, word of mouth. And if you tell people what it means to you, and give it a chance and have people get into it, I think it really does change a lot of people's lives. And another thing too is that I like seeing games today using the same techniques that Shenmue did back in the day. I love seeing that stuff. I mean, for example, my daughter was playing she was playing Minecraft story mode on the television, and like QTE popped up, and I was like, man, you know, I mean, we did that way back in the day. And I told my daughter, I was like, hey, we did that. That was our thing. You know what I mean? So I like seeing that too. And if you can get people to, hey, you know, games are today the way they are because of Shenmue. You know, you can get people to go back and be like, wow, okay, I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
And I was completely oblivious to that kind of stuff. So like, if I didn't know about Shenmue, if no one actually spread the word about Shenmue, my first experience with QTE was God of War, and I totally would have given my credit to that.
Right.
You know, not Shenmue.
It was very revolutionary for in terms of cinematics too. Like the intro for the intro for Shenmue 1 is still my favorite intro for any game.
Oh,
it's so
beautiful.
cinematic. So cinematic.
And it looks beautiful in the newer version. It really does.
Oh man, I can't wait to play that.
Oh, it's really solid. And you know, kind of going to Corey's point, it is true. Like, that game is at first kind of a test of your patience, and to a lot of people, they're not willing to put up with it. But I always tell people, like, give it a chance, man. Like, if you really engross yourself into that game, it's amazing its ability to get its hooks in you, especially with as Shenmue 2 presses on. And by the end of Shenmue 2, the thing I always compare it to people is, if you've ever seen The Green Mile, you know, Michael Clark Duncan, Tom Hanks movie, like, that whole movie is a very smart, well-told story. It's just getting going. It's interesting for one reason or another. Then it gets to that part where, you know, Michael Clark Duncan grabs him and then, like, barfs out all these bees. And you're like, whoa, this just got really supernatural and weird. And I've always said that's where Shenmue 2 ends. That moment. And you're just like, what happens now? And we were stuck in the cave for like 15 years. So it's crazy that we're getting out of that finally.
So how did you get from? I have to ask before you, because I know you got to go soon, and I have to ask this because I remember reading, you know, during my time as editor of Dreamcast HQ, and then with my Next Level Gaming, I got a chance to play and review Shenmue 2 and things like that, and I started to read up on you know, the actors and the people who are doing the voices. How did you get from, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're actually a champion taekwondo guy, right? I mean, you, back in the day, you were very heavy into that, and you went from that and to auditioning for a voiceover for a game. How did that happen?
Well, you know, I had been doing. I started doing theater when I was young. I started doing performance groups, actually singing, dancing, and acting. The reason I started dancing is because I was so physically strong with all my martial arts stuff. I mean, I did taekwondo and karate and Fujiao Pai Kung Fu, and I did capoeira, and I did, I was really big into combat sports, did fencing and all those kinds of things. And I started dancing because I was so physically strong, and all of my experience that I had in the performing arts just kind of led me up to that moment. And that was like the perfect storm, the perfect combination of all of my combat sports that I have been doing since I was young, plus my acting and stage performance and all that kind of stuff all came together and gave me this perfect combination, I think, for this character. And I was college age at the time, first year of college. So let's see, no, second year, I don't know, second year of college. Anyway, and just that combination, I think, is for some reason they just liked my voice, and then they liked the way I did it. And like I said, I think it was just that combination of all of those experiences that I had. So yeah, I've been doing theater since I was young as well. So
you had a lot of practice doing fight noises. So I can just
right.
I'm just picturing you in the studio, just spending days on end, just going, Well,
I mean, was it an open audition that you just went in and went for, or were they looking and kind of contacted you? Was it?
It was an open audition. Yeah,
wow.
Open audition that happened in New York City, and it was actually in a publication that was specifically for actors. Which I got because I was always constantly looking for work, and it was man, I described this story before, but it was a very small article, very just a couple inches by an inch or whatever, and it just said something about like looking for voiceover artists, 2 to 3 months in Japan recording for. I think it said something like major game company or something. And I was like, 2 to 3 months in Japan. That sounds pretty sweet.
I'm so happy you took that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine anyone else voicing Rio.
It was, like I said, I had done movie and a lot of theater and all that kind of stuff before. But it was actually my very first voiceover audition. For anything. I had never done any voiceover, and that was the first audition that I did for voiceover. And
wow.
Here we are.
It was meant to be.
Nailed it.
It was destiny.
I mean,
that's what they said to him. You nailed it.
Yeah. So as far as the fight choreography and hits, yeah, I just brought back the time I got hit in the gut, or maybe in the crotch, or that time I got kicked in the neck, or.
So you weren't actually getting hit to make those noises then?
No, that was just first of all, memory getting hit, and second of all, of course, my fandom with all of the anime and all of the games that I had already played. I just kind of I already knew what to do because I was a kid at the time and I had played all the games, and or I had seen anime or whatever. So yeah, it's just I knew what to do. What could I say?
I can relate. A couple of times I was Jeff Speakman's practice dummy at seminars and stuff, and yeah, you remember those things.
Yep, they stick with you, right?
Yes, they do. When he goes, I hope you're wearing a cup, man. Right.
Well,
they don't even provide you with a cup.
Oh no, you better hope you have it.
So I got to get going here pretty soon. Is there any last questions before I go?
I've got one. All right. Yeah. So the guy who plays Tom, the hot dog, where the fuck is he from?
He's from Jamaica, man.
He's an American. He's an American. Remember in the game, he goes back home to America.
It was a gentleman that we had. most of the people on there were actors, but we ended up pulling a guy from the military base that was there in Japan. And he was, I think somebody knew him and brought him in. And he was, I think he was a friend of a friend, you know what I mean? And he came in and did that voiceover. And a lot of people talk about Tom.
Nice.
And,
Do you happen to remember who played Goro?
Goro, yeah, that was Paul Lucas.
Are you sure? Because he's uncredited.
So he did. He did. How many characters did he do?
Well, I know Paul Lucas did Landy, and he did Kai.
Oh no, that's what. No, so Goro was. Shoot, man, I have to jog my memory.
I kind of remember people. I think it was Peter at the Shenmue Dojo said that they still don't know who voiced Goro after all these years. I'm like, really? But I never looked that far into it.
What, man? That's crazy that it's flying over my head right now. You know what? I'm gonna remember it tonight just before I go to sleep.
Well, if you do, I mean, but I'm gonna double check that because I hope I'm just not misremembering.
No, now that I think about it, it was not Paul Lucas. Paul Lucas only did Landy, Chai, and he also did. Oh no, man, you're killing me. You're killing me.
Sorry.
The rest of the night now.
You have messed up this man's entire evening.
There's even a Reddit thread dedicated to what happened to like who dubbed Goro. Nobody seems to know.
You've got to think back to that day.
He's credited as additional voices, so they don't know who did it.
I know that guy.
Now I gotta go. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. It's good to see you as always, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you,
man.
Corey.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Have fun.
Yeah,
Talk to you
Corey.
later.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Oh man, that was good. Reddit. You could always count on Reddit to like do conspiracy theories. Like they'll pick up on that kind of stuff. And like they come together and they bring something to your attention that you may have not noticed. Goro, how do you spell that?
G-O-R-O, like the Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah. Okay.
Plot twist. I played Goro.
It was me.
There you go.
I feel like we're gonna hear about that. Like someone passes away and then they have like a videotape of their will, and they're like, "It was me." Tell everybody.
Always. It was always me, Austin.
It was always me. Always. Goro is a hat. Go. Wow. I'm Spanish, and I never put together that they were trying to say Goro and not Guru. What in my life? What is happening? What is happening right now?
What is going on?
Oh man. So man, Shenmue. So
really is a
I
Reddit
do got a question about this, like Shenmue 1 and 2 that we're getting.
We've
So
gone now.
Well, not for him. Adam, who's played it.
Ben has two.
Oh, okay. I was
Ben
like,
joined in London at Sega headquarters.
Did you not watch the podcast?
No.
That was a great podcast, by the way.
When was that?
That was.
It was like 3 days ago, 4 days ago.
No, it was a few weeks ago. I asked a question.
The live stream?
Yeah.
Oh, the ill-fated 24-hour live stream. Yeah. Thank you for watching that.
With the messed up audio.
Yeah, it was. We took it down partially because of the audio, and also because Sega just said, "Oh no, this is kind of a 24-hour thing," but they kind of told me that later. And I was like, "All right, sure, no problem." But it was also just the audio was really bad anyway, so it was kind of like, whatever. But thanks for watching.
Expensive looking Sega equipment.
Bro, I want that Sega light up neon sign.
That's in their that's in their office. They're like boardroom.
Bro, if you ever go there, ask them how much.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll make a good impression.
Yeah, just go in there, ask how much for the neon sign.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, their office is pretty cool there. Like, it's got this giant Sonic statue out there, and they actually, right now anyway, have like a bunch of Shenmue stuff up there. It's pretty cool.
That's neat.
With Shenmue 1 and 2, I know what would you consider it? Like, is this a remaster?
No,
release.
the official title is a re-release because there is no word to exactly describe it. It's more than a port, but not quite a remaster.
Okay.
A port traditionally is when you take one game in its complete version and just kind of plop it onto a new console or platform with basically just modified controls, and that's about it. A remaster is where they redo everything to improve pre-existing assets. So like the resolution would be better, the sound would be completely redone, all that kind of stuff. Shenmue does not satisfy either definition because they did more than port it. They made various enhancements to the UI, the resolution, loading times, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's not a remaster because while the video is massively improved, they were unable to remaster certain things like cutscenes, which were originally done by 4x3. There was really no way to do that. And then the audio was frankly, it was too much of a nightmare to work with. The original assets had not been taken particularly good care of. So the audio is the original Dreamcast audio. So it doesn't satisfy being a remaster. Hence, They call it a re-release. There is no actual word for exactly what that is.
So with the 4x3 cutscenes thing, Shenmue 2, am I mistaken in saying either all of the cutscenes were widescreen or some of them were widescreen?
So Shenmue 2, people think it had widescreen because when you play it, you get, especially on 4x3 TVs, you would see a lot of what looked like widescreen, but it's really just letterboxed.
Yeah.
It just kind of inserts these black bars artificially. Actually, if you play the Shenmue 2 Xbox on a 360, you'll notice that immediately because under the black box, you'll see additional data of the game running, just because it's emulated. With the re-release, they just kind of kept that original experience, so it still does black bars. The gameplay is in widescreen, and between Shenmue 1 and 2, various cutscenes are in widescreen where it was possible, and ones where it was not possible, they retain their original aspect ratio.
That's cool.
Okay. So I was asking because I've seen some remasters that are from like older consoles, obviously, but the ones that are much older, like if it's a PS2 or an OG Xbox, there's literally zero aliasing, zero jaggies. So I was wondering if Shenmue would have that kind of presentation where everything is just
it's crisp. Yeah,
it is a very, very clean experience visually.
Okay.
I'm so excited to play it, man. I might play it tonight, but I don't want to stay up all night.
I wonder how much of that is the horsepower, in the consoles too. Because if they haven't, maybe so. Did they remake or did they remaster at least the anti-aliasing and things like that?
Yeah, there's a whole. I mean, I don't know too much of the technical aspect, but if you're asking if it's like some weird emulator or something, no, they went into the source code and rewrote it all for modern platforms. So with that came various visual benefits, including the ability to play it back in a native 1080p resolution.
Yeah, it's amazingly crisp because you can obviously switch it back to take off the improvements. You can actually run it at Dreamcast original resolution and size.
Wait,
and
you can
everything
play
else.
it in 480p.
You can actually, yes, you can play it in 4x3. You can play it in original 480p mode, and you can turn off the bloom effect, so it looks like just the Dreamcast running it, or you can run it with all the new changes.
And when you do that, you really notice the difference.
I knew you could turn the bloom effect off, but I didn't know you could play it in 480p.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
dope.
it's the game essentially being rendered in 480p. Your TV or console will still display an upscaled 1080p.
Right.
It'll look like a Dreamcast game. Yeah.
It's the cleanest 480p image you'll see.
Probably. Yeah.
Is there by chance at all that you know of any bugs? I mean,
it's getting a day one patch anyway.
Yeah, so there's unfortunately some people got it early and the game wasn't ready to go. It was still, there's still patches coming for it. At this point, the patches are live and you're fine. But there's a day one patch I think set to go live on Xbox tomorrow. I believe the PlayStation 4 and PC versions are already live. So in other words, it's at this point is fine. But the earlier builds, I mean, were earlier builds. But yeah, bug wise, the current build's fine.
I know we're talking about the remasters here. This is just me trying to get some questions answered. Like
re-releases,
re-releases, yeah.
Sorry, I need to, because you don't know what a remaster is. But.
Shut up, stop. I do. I promise. We don't want to get into this. So for Shenmue 3, have you been able to see it at all in person, or
no? I have almost nothing to do with Shenmue 3. I think they know I exist, but that's about it. Yeah, Corey would have been the guy to ask about that, because as far as I know, he's the only person who's still involved with it from the original run, because Sega has nothing to do with it.
All right.
Yes, it's YSNet, right? And
EaseNet, yeah.
EaseNet, that's it. I never knew.
And it's Deep Silver is publishing it now.
Deep Silver is the publisher, yes.
Which is brilliant, because they did
THQ Nordic now, right?
Yeah, you'll get more information about this literally in like 12 hours, because they're going to drop a new video or something.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep, because there's Shenmue 3 news tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, for you, it's like, I think 11 a.m. is when it's supposed to drop.
Is it in the UK? 11 a.m.?
I believe 11 a.m. UK time, I think.
Shit.
Oh, it's going to be hard to sleep. Yeah.
Bro, I'm not sleeping now, just in case I don't wake up in time.
I think that's what I've heard, but I don't know.
You can watch it afterwards, right?
it's not the same?
I mean,
That's like
it's going to be like, but here's the thing. It's not like some big announcement, I doubt. It's probably just like an update. They might
throw
some kind of surprise at us, but...
I just need to know about Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
No.
There's my question was going to be like, if they were going to be involved in kind of doing what the norm is now with games, which I love, is HDR. I was wondering if they would like implement HDR at all. So
I have no idea. You'd have to ask someone who's involved with the development.
From the screens we've seen, that looks pretty flippin' HDR to me. Some really nice contrast.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean...
True.
I mean, that'd be the sort of thing that would be added later on in development, right?
It can be. That can be patched in.
Oh yeah, it could even be patched in for like these re-releases. But that's why I was wondering.
I don't think this. I'm fairly certain there's no HDR for the re-releases. Am I right?
I would be surprised if anything like that happened.
Yeah, I mean, that bloom effect. There's an added bloom effect for Shenmue 1.
The bloom effect, it gets a bad rap because Shenmue 2 on Xbox had a bloom effect and it was awful. This is not that. They just unfortunately chose to call it the same thing. And it actually is very nice.
There's one question that I'm not sure anyone's asked about Shenmue 1 and 2, the re-releases yet. You know, on the Xbox versions, if you're not playing it on the 360, the fighting, there's like a heavy motion blur.
Oh yeah, that's not there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they turned that off. That's not a thing.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, motion blur is not a thing.
That was the worst, man. That was the worst.
It was. Trust me, they knew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped, man. I finally get to like know, like I get to be part of this.
You get to be part of the Shenmue family now.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back tomorrow and be like, I hate it. I'm kidding. I don't know, but I'd probably say that just to get reactions. Yeah,
I'd be heavily surprised if you don't at least enjoy it.
So, help me out, because when I think of Yakuza, I think of games like Grand Theft Auto 3, not God of War, I'm sorry, True Crime, Streets of LA, Saints Row, Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs is a great game.
I never ever thought of Shenmue when I thought of Yakuza, because
I mean, type in Google Yakuza Shenmue.
I hear you. That doesn't mean these people are right.
The reason for the comparisons is primarily because Sega made both, and because it has a couple of similarities, such as capsule toys and mini games inside. There are some gameplay elements, but on the whole, you're right. The gameplay experience is very different. It's
right.
You're essentially talking an open world game made by the same company. Now, it does actually share some of the original developers, but that's at best a spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's more like a spiritual kind of successor to it. But
maybe it's the fact that you can interact with like every NPC or something, but it's also the only thing in Sega's wheelhouse you can really compare it to, because they haven't done anything else like that.
I mean, you can't say Sonic's a spiritual successor.
No, not at all.
No, of course. You know,
But that's I think that's where the comparison
Wait.
kind of comes from, is those little ties. But on the whole, you're right. It shares more with Saints Row than it does with Shenmue. I
mean, I'm actually kind of not disappointed in Yakuza, but I'm very new to the Yakuza franchise. I got into it. I bought Yakuza 0 and Kiwami because it was compared to Shenmue. Everyone said it was the spiritual successor to Shenmue. I played it, and it ain't Shenmue. It's nowhere near as good as Shenmue. It's too comedic for me.
Well, and I don't remember forklift races in Yakuza.
All right.
I mean, it's
stuff like that made Shenmue for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like people would call it mundane, but
okay, somebody hang on. I just hit a website that claims Mark Hamill was Goro.
Yeah, that's called a joke.
I'm just saying.
Fake?
Well,
I think there's more chance of Corey Marshall playing Goro than that.
Yeah, no, Mark Hamill. If that was the case, that would have not been some obscure secret.
Goro Majima, right?
Yeah,
Goro Majima.
I'm sure they said it because it was a joke, because nobody really knows who did it.
I want someone to ask him that, and I want Mark Hamill to say, "I don't even know what Shenmue is."
He probably wouldn't.
I just want him to make one reference to
Well,
Shenmue
hold on. Are we talking
without
about
answering it?
Are we talking about? So wait, when we're talking about Goro, are you sure you're not thinking of Goro from Yakuza? Because the more I think about it, and I'm getting I'm on IMDb right now.
I'm on the beat.
There's no Goro listed for Shenmue.
Goro's that greaser guy.
Trust me, I'm 100%. Yeah, he's a Yankee character. That's what they call him.
Yeah, he wore that leather jacket and stuff.
Yeah, and he's got whole wikis dedicated to him.
He's such a dick, by the way.
Yeah. Goro Majima, right? M-A-J?
No, that's Yakuza.
So what's his last name then? In
Mihashi.
All right, hold on.
Mihashi.
You fight him a bunch of times.
You fight him once.
Mihi.
I could have sworn you fought him more than once. I thought you fought him more than once.
Mihashi. You encounter him more than once, and his voice is so annoying that it feels like a fight.
Sorry, one more time because the people were talking.
Mihashi.
Got it.
Oh, it says he's 18.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go.
There's even, like I said, there's Reddit threads about the fact that who voiced him.
I'd laugh so hard if he never existed.
we're just Beautiful Mind, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're having the same.
So so there is a Japanese voice actor, but it does say the English actor is unknown.
Exactly.
Because he never got asked to do any more roles.
How could no one know? I mean, someone got a paycheck.
I mean, you'd have to ask Sega. I'm gonna type it in. I'm gonna type in who voiced Goro for Shenmue.
Good luck.
I'm sure there has to be a video. There has to be a video somewhere.
I found it. No, I didn't.
So, continuing with myself and all the things that I'm curious about. Why did Sega pass off their franchise to another publisher?
What are you talking about? Was the case with Shenmue 3?
Yeah, why would they do that?
Well, Shenmue 1 and 2 didn't do.
Do they still hate money?
There's no guarantee. Shenmue 1 and 2 didn't do.
Shenmue 1 and 2 costed so much, especially for the Sega.
You got to remember the budget for Shenmue was $70 million.
Yeah, but the first one,
no, it wasn't.
Cost.
That's that bullshit rumor has to die. The budget that Sega said that back in 2000 as a promotional thing. The truth is, it cost $47 million according to Yu Suzuki, and
then you got to factor in the Sega Saturn versions.
You got it. But we're talking about marketing in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, hang on. You break $47 million down. It was for Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2, Shenmue Saturn, Virtual Fighter RPG, marketing, publication, the whole 9 yards. If you break that down to its actual game development budget, it's pretty much on par with what Shenmue 3 actually has to work with.
Because of course they had to build their own engine from the start.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah,
he had to build the story from the ground. He had to build the engine from the ground, as opposed to this, where most of those assets were ready to go, including Unreal Engine, which is apparently free to use.
I didn't know it was free to use.
For indies,
Apparently it is.
Yeah. But like for EaseNet, it is.
For
Yeah,
EaseNet,
they got a lot.
yes, whoever owns it waived that.
I mean, looking from the outside in, they should be able to get Shenmue 3 done easily with the Kickstarter money.
Yeah, they'll be okay. I'm not expecting this massive open world game, especially that's one that's supposed to take place in rural China.
I hope it isn't a massive open world game.
I don't think it will be.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be big geographically, but I do hope that they have this similar kind of depth to the conversation.
Very
trees,
rich.
That kind of thing. Yeah, because obviously one of the things that makes Shenmue feel so compelling is that every time you need to find something out, you can just ask almost anyone and you will get a little bit further down the line in that investigation. So I just hope it has that same kind of depth to the communication.
So to answer the original question of why they weren't taking responsibility for it, despite the fact that the budget wasn't actually as big as it was, it still did not turn a profit because it was linked to the Dreamcast, which hadn't sold enough units, and the original Xbox, which at the time it came out definitely hadn't sold enough units. Historically speaking, the second game never came out on Dreamcast in North America, which actually would have been the biggest push possible because it's where it sold the best. And it was just kind of poorly handled. So Sega just kind of saw it and perceived it as like this big, waste of money.
Like it would have been too much of a risk.
Precisely. So as time went on and the fans continued to persist that they really wanted the thing, Sega more or less just gave Yu Suzuki the license and said, good luck to you, do what you want. Right. Which was good of them to do. They don't get enough credit for that because like other companies like Konami did not give away the Castlevania license. He had to go, what's his name? The guy who was making Bloodstained had to go just make a spiritual successor.
Right.
Capcom did not give
Mega Man
away. You had to make Mighty Number 9. What was the other? Banjo-Kazooie. Microsoft did not give those guys the right to Banjo-Kazooie. They went off and made Yooka-Laylee. Whereas in this situation, they said, you don't have to make Cave Escaper Man 3. You can go ahead and make Shenmue. It's fine.
Cave Escaper Man.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yes, exactly. You can go ahead and make Shenmue. We're not going to get in your way. And they even provided assets. One of them that's fascinating that I only learned this recently. When they were making the games originally, the composer for the game made a crap ton of music, like a ton.
I remember you said in your video.
Yeah, he's made tons of music. It's what you heard in the first and second game. Apparently, the assets used in those two games only comprise about 20% of the music the guy produced. 20%.
That makes me
insane. And so there's 80% of this is unused and is just ready to go for future titles. At no cost to the game's budget. So again, that's even more money to throw down on just the game.
Here's a question I'm not sure if you've answered.
Sure.
Shenmue 2, as far as I know, until the limited edition Shenmue 1 and 2 comes out in Japan, Shenmue 2 didn't get an official soundtrack CD release, did it?
That will be the first time Shenmue 2's music has ever been officially released by Sega or anyone.
Do you know why by any chance?
When Shenmue was originally coming out, it was obviously a really big push for Sega, so they wanted to tie it to as much merchandise, and they thought they had this big franchise in their hand. Shenmue 2, to be honest, barely got out at all. I mean, like I said, it got the Dreamcast release with no dub. It made its way out in Japan. We didn't get Dreamcast version, and Microsoft pumped in a little money to get an Xbox version here, but that was it. It was kind of just, let's get it done and move on. And so there was no merch tied to it other than like promotional standees and stuff like that. So that's likely the reason is they were like, let's just bury this. And
I'm so glad we're finally getting one.
I agree completely. Now, I don't know enough about what's on that CD. I think it's like 20 songs, but I think Shenmue 2 had, like Shenmue 1 had, 50, 60 songs in it. So you're getting a sampling. Also, credit to whoever the guy is on this planet somewhere who sat down with all of the Shenmue music that was composed, this giant 100% library, and said, this song goes in this game at this moment, and just kept doing that. That had to be hell.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a lot of music to be written up.
Bro, I hope eventually we get like a massive 5-disc set of every single piece of music.
Oh, you would need more than 5 discs at this point. I mean, like Shenmue 1 had 5 discs for just its music. and plus like the little mini ones. Like there was a mini disc for just this Christmas version of some of their music. Like they had so much music, and then again,
orchestra
that
album.
exactly, and that represented 10% of what this dude made. That's insane. The other Shenmue 2 making 10%.
Just thinking about that.
Isn't that sick? Because originally it was
remember, that's less money they got to spend again.
Exactly. And originally it was supposed to be 7 games, and that's why they kind of wrote all the music at once, I guess.
7 games worth of music, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then now it's going to be whittled down to, I mean, according to Yu Suzuki, he wants 5, but he could do it in 4. So that's a lot of music.
I'm just hoping Shenmue 3 sells enough to at least fund Shenmue 4.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's why I asked about bringing it to a new generation of fans, because that's my fear, is that us, those of us who grew up on it and those of us who, thought of it as such a, an ahead of its time, fantastic franchise. Unfortunately, we're not everybody's target audience anymore.
I mean, I think the target audience, the people that they're going to have to try and win over is my generation.
But here's the thing. I just don't, I have no proof, but I just feel like, and I would be okay with, I just feel like they're not trying to target anybody, like, at all. It's being made.
Yu Suzuki's dream.
And the fans, obviously. Yeah. But I feel like if it catches on, and that's great. But they're doing it to help progress.
Okay, but and that works when you had a Kickstarter for 3, but to make 4, you're gonna have to sell 3.
I can't see them opening another Kickstarter for 4.
But what about this? And this is crazy, but with Xbox's Japanese relationship, do you think that this could end up on Games Pass or something?
Well,
Shenmue 3 isn't going to be on Xbox.
Yeah, it's not on Xbox.
I mean the remasters. My bad. Re-releases. I'm sorry.
That would be entirely up to Sega and Microsoft. I have no idea. It could be, I guess.
It depends on how much money they throw at them.
I'd be surprised if it ends up on Game Pass. I don't think it's a big enough game, in my opinion. Well, for Xbox, I don't think it's a big enough game.
But that's why I prefaced with what I said, because the only way I would see them do that is to kind of change what you see, what you traditionally read about, like not enough Japanese games and Japanese and Xbox relationships. So I just figured it would be like a Band-Aid.
I can't see that ever happening.
Same here.
Because I mean, you have to understand, the re-release is not even coming out on Xbox in Japan. It's
really?
It's completely
irrelevant.
I
had no idea.
Oh, that's why there's only a PlayStation Limited Edition.
Exactly. There's no PC version or Xbox version in Japan, and the Japanese version is later. Yeah, the fact that the Xbox version even exists over here is just kind of a bonus. It was never their focus. And it's never going to be important enough to get Shenmue 3 over there. It's not going to happen. Unless Deep Silver decides, you know what, we would rather bankroll this than take Sony's publication and exclusivity money and violate whatever contract they originally signed. Because Sony put a bunch of money into marketing and publication. You would have to forego that to get it over to Xbox, which is kind of irrelevant. A, because it's not the primary install base. B, because the Shenmue re-release is noticeably, even with public numbers, is not selling as well on Xbox. And C, it's completely irrelevant to EaseNet. They're a Japanese publisher, and they're not going to focus those efforts on a game that's for a platform that barely even exists over there.
Yeah, it's sad that Xbox didn't catch in Japan, because
Xbox 360 did, and then Microsoft shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, they did, big time.
They really did.
Because like the original Xbox, most people consider it like the spiritual successor to the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
So
if it ate 3 Dreamcasts.
Yeah. If it ate 3 Dreamcasts and gained 5 Dreamcasts worth of weight.
Right. Which is what they had, which is what their issue was.
That's just the Duke controller.
Right. The Duke controller is just about as big as my Dreamcast.
I just noticed you have those mounted on the wall back there. That looks pretty good.
So that is that's my Japanese import
edition,
version.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you just put that up tonight?
No,
I've
got it up.
It's to make it look good.
That's been up there.
He's taking them down.
I just threw mine on the table.
You know, I would be surprised. You know, deep. So I haven't seen anything beyond, you know, anything Deep Silver said anything about Shenmue 3, even possibly. I mean, I would think with a developer, with a publisher like that, they're going to want to expand the market here, but I don't know. I think
to do that, you would have to violate whatever deal they came up with Sony. So so they have to sit down. They probably sat down and crunched some numbers and said, "Here's how much Sony gave us for publication and marketing. Do we think we can make this back on an Xbox One version?"
Yeah, you got to think.
The answer was probably no.
I mean, it's a risk.
Sorry, the best shot. I'll finish this point. That's all. The best shot it would possibly have is if the Xbox One version of 1 and 2 sold well enough for them to be like, okay, this audience exists. But Xbox One fans are kind of their own worst enemy right now, and I've noticed this. A lot of them saying, "There's no Shenmue 3, so I'm not going to bother with this." It's like, well, now you definitely won't get it because you're not supporting the only pathway you have to it.
Yeah,
right.
That's literally the only way.
Well, the last I had read from Yu Suzuki is it wasn't that Sony was working on publishing. They were putting money into development.
No,
Deep Silver had. See, what he said was that EaseNet got Deep Silver to publish the game globally.
Yes, but I believe.
But Sony and Sega were still supporting the development of it. That's what he said. I mean, that's
if you can pull that up, that would be a fascinating read. Because
hang on a sec.
That would be news because both Sega and Sony have denied that.
Well, I know. Well, you told me that he said the game only only cost $47 million. So
that's true. But I'd love to read what you're talking about because if you're right about that, that will blow my fucking mind.
Hang on.
As far as I know,
okay.
The Kickstarter money is the only thing being.
Okay, so this is what he said to Eurogamer in August of 2017. He said, "When discussing blah, 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 where is it? In fact, here I'll do one better. Here I will share screen. So
I don't know if I'm going to be able to. It's really blocky for me.
All right.
Yeah, the video quality is very bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's Google Hangouts.
So, Deep Silver, whose partnership was made public at Gamescom last month with additional funding in place. We originally pitched a scalable game, as you know, Kickstarter. After finding a new partner with Deep Silver, we're able to scale up based on the original plan. I'm fully ready to make the game at a larger scale, feeling overworld. One of the original Sony partnerships said, he said, "Oh, Sony is still supporting us. Sega too. I shouldn't forget about them."
Supporting is not funding development. Supporting in those contexts would mean what I said about Sony, which is they were doing publishing at one point. Now they're doing marketing, I guess. And Sega, having worked with them directly, I can tell you that they're other than like, yeah, good job, dude. They're not really doing
like they almost like.
No, I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not. Sega has probably put no money into this.
Sega's involvement is just kind of cooperation and letting them use assets that they technically own, such as the music that we mentioned.
So, and that would be the support is by letting them use
support.
Assets.
It does not mean like, hey, here's like $1 million, and we own this chunk of the game. It's not like that.
Yeah,
I did not think that. I didn't think
it's fine. It's just how it goes. We just all want to make sure we're getting it right, I guess.
Yeah.
Bro, you had me excited for a second. Like I thought there was news I didn't know.
So I would be
me too. I would have been thrilled, man.
I was planning on getting this for the Xbox, but I should probably just get it for the PlayStation in the event that they let me like transfer over any information.
That's not going to be a thing.
No? Okay.
No. They told me that straight up. And that's public knowledge. The only way that could change is if EaseNet changed it, because the issue is on Shenmue 3's end, because Shenmue 3 wasn't built with the assumption that would ever be a thing. So
that would have been a very nice.
So here,
I agree.
Here's their. So and again, I'm just going. This is here's Deep Silver's website. Here's their logo on Shenmue 3, and they announced that they're moving the game to 2019. So nowhere is Sony listed on here, even as publisher.
They're just helping market. They're doing marketing
now.
In turn for that, it's exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah, essentially, yes. They are throwing money down, but it's not for development. At one time, they were the publisher. That is true. But now they're just doing marketing. I guess Deep Silver probably put. I don't know. I mean, we don't know the specifics, dude. That's at the end of the day.
No, we don't. But I'm just, Deep Silver steps up to publish Shenmue 3.
I agree.
Which is a good thing, because I think didn't Deep Silver publish some of the Yakuza games?
I don't think so. I think that was all Sega themselves.
Yeah, that is.
I need to. I need to see that.
Yeah. See here, EaseNet, the development studio responsible for Shenmue 3, announced it has partnered with Deep Silver to bring the title to consumers worldwide. So that's that's him. That's his company saying it.
That's his company saying that the game will come out worldwide on PS4 and PC.
Right, that he has partnered with Deep Silver to bring the title. That means
because they're the publisher.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm agreeing with that. No part of me is arguing with that.
Well, you said that Sony was.
Sony's doing marketing, and at one time they were doing publication.
Yeah, not anymore. They're doing marketing now.
I mean, they're doing publication in the sense that they'll be physically printing the discs, but at one time they were more responsible for that aspect of it. But that was the Deep Silver announcement, changed that.
I don't know if Yu Suzuki thought the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter would do as well as it did.
I have no idea.
Well, he had even bigger plans for it. I mean, he went up to past 11 million, so he definitely had some more in.
His goal, from what I remember him publicly stating, and I think, Ben, you even did a video on this a few years ago, was he wanted 10 million. That was the ideal.
Oh, man, I hope.
Does that sound right?
I think so. I just hope that the game doesn't suffer from it. I mean, I know the 7 million, that's more than enough to make a functional Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
But some of the stretch goals sounded amazing.
I agree. That is where Deep Silver's money will be helpful, but it's not going to be for game development. But it's because that money exists, they can focus their money on the actual development. And I forget what the guy's name is, but there was a dude, I believe he was Korean, that was making unbelievable replicas of Shenmue 1, and they hired that guy because he could do everything on a shoestring budget, which is part of why.
There was a couple of videos on that, right? On YouTube.
Yeah. So I have faith.
Man, they should have cut corners on the funding elsewhere, man. They should have put ads out for volunteers. I'd have volunteered. I'd have made those guys coffee. I'd have brought them their stuff. I'd have made
Bro, I would have been okay without being credited for my voice.
Oh, by the way,
Goro.
Speaking of creditation and being in the game, you're a toy in Shenmue 3, right? Shenmueso.
Yeah, me. I am. Yes, yeah.
I am too.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I want to speak for you, but yeah.
Nice.
Is he a toy or a tool?
I'm a toy. I think it'd be one of those. Yeah. That's awesome.
Toy, yeah, which I
so
pledged
salty.
a ridiculous amount on the Kickstarter for, and yes, that'll be my legacy. I'm not having children, so this will be how. This will be my attempt at immortality.
Well, you're going to be immortalized, man. I'm just happy to get my name in the credits.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude,
that in itself is a huge deal, in my opinion, for me.
It really is. This is a testament to fan power. Everybody's contribution. If you think about it, this series was buried. It was dead. It was done. Fan efforts resurrected a franchise, got it to continue, and at this point in time, based on Amazon pre-orders, it's
I
amazing.
saw that tweet.
Yeah, it's amazing how well it's doing right now. And in theory, you've resurrected a franchise that can now be viable into its future. Well, obviously, depends on Shenmue 3, but
I don't think we'd have gotten the re-releases even if you remember that hashtag save Shenmue. Now it's Shenmue saved, right? That's such a big deal, man. That was such a triumphant moment when it changed. The hashtag changed from save Shenmue to Shenmue saved.
I know. I was in the room when that happened.
And that's why I tell people that this game's very important. Most of the community brushes this kind of stuff off because they're more involved, more worried about stuff that really doesn't matter. But Shenmue really does matter, whether you know anything about the franchise or not, because this to me means that you don't have to just feel like your favorite game is dead in the water. I want this game, but I know they won't make it. If you guys are dedicated enough, it lets me know, that this game has a possibility to come back. I
mean, it took the best part of 2 decades, but I mean, that in itself is even more of big deal for me. Like 2
I want to
decades.
I want to see a trophy at the beginning of the game just that says "Escape the Cave." Like that's all I want right there at the beginning.
Bro, I'm just so happy it didn't turn out to be like a mobile game or something.
Yeah.
Like one of those
A Temple Run.
Temple Run, that's it.
Yeah. So
Well, it was going to end up as just a comic, wasn't it, Adam? I remember you saying that in a video sometime.
At some point, there was talk of that being the way, I guess, Yu Suzuki wanted to go with it as an option, but I don't think he was ever really happy with that idea. I mean, who would be? But that's my vague memory, because obviously nothing like that ever materialized.
Can I ask? I believe you did go have dinner with Yu Suzuki. Am I right?
I've never met the man.
What? I thought you were invited to go have dinner with him in Japan.
No, I went to the Sega
re-release.
a few times. Yeah, thank you for that. No, no, I went to a Sega Fest, but he wasn't there. He had nothing to do with that.
You never met him.
Yeah, that was me who had
Suzuki.
That was me who had dinner with Yu Suzuki.
That kills me, man.
That wasn't.
That's basically me at E3 when I was so sure I was going to meet you, and then I didn't. I was like, been lugging. I lugged around my Dreamcast for nothing.
I'd always hoped I would have bumped into him at E3. It never happened.
Who?
Yu Suzuki. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to meet the guy. I have his autograph on something, but that's about it. Yeah.
So I'm trying to
I
figure out.
I think it's inevitable for you to eventually meet with him.
I doubt it. That's the thing is, like, I'm in well with Sega and their Shenmue team, but like the Shenmue 3 team, which has nothing to do with them, like I'm not even totally convinced they know I exist. So that'd be nice.
I just don't understand because like okay, so this isn't like your typical like online Twitter circle jerk where one guy's like, "Oh, you're so inspirational." Like, yeah, I do like you and I like your channel and all that stuff, but I don't understand how like someone could not know about you when it's not about being involved in a game. Like, let's say I'm a huge Halo fan and 343 still doesn't know who I am. It's not that. It's that your game would not have existed had I and other massive fans kept campaigning and using our footprint on social media to spread awareness. You would think you would know about someone like that. So that's why when you say you don't think they know about you, I'm just so that behooves me.
That's very flattering, but I don't agree. I'm a drop in the bucket. The Shenmue community is tons and tons of people, and everyone did their part.
Yeah,
I'm just a loud face. I'm just a loud face. That's all I am.
When I initially think of Shenmue when it comes to YouTube and stuff, I think of Adam Koralik and Happy Console Gamer.
I just got off the phone with him earlier today.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and
he and I were
now
chatting.
Shenmueso, because I've subscribed to him like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's the only one of us who actually has Shenmue in his name. You gotta love him.
Yeah, but do any of you have Shenmue tattoos?
Ben, you were talking about doing that, weren't you?
Well, yeah. when I get this Chibi U character made, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get some type of JPEG or image of the character that they create, and if it's good enough for the job, I'm going to get that tattooed. Yeah,
that would be dope.
Yeah,
Saab has one.
Well, it's half done. It's the my avatar, Chiyumen symbol. Nice. You know the.
It's the one that's your logo, right?
Yeah.
I would get the 4 Wood, but I'm kind of worried that I wouldn't live up to it, and I'd just end up being a fraud.
Plus, you could basically say they say anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's my wife's name.
Yeah.
Man, I can't. Well, I'll finally be part of the conversation. I'll be able to say things knowing like.
You can actually play it now.
Yeah, I'm more excited about doing something stupid that I remember Adam said a long time ago. That you could even go up to your Sega Saturn and like.
Yes, you can turn it on. You can play. Is it Space Harrier?
You can play Space Harrier and hang on. Yeah. You have to win them first. That's hard. Yeah. You have to like go to the tomato convenience store. Yeah, it's hard to get those. Man.
I think in 2, I think in 2 you could play Outrun.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Mike's
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you were so
That
quiet.
and,
I thought you were gone.
Afterburner too.
I'm soaking it back in. I got so many memories of
Dude.
my youth, man.
Yeah, man, it's such
I've got memory.
amazing
Like-
experience.
My childhood gaming is Shenmue.
Yeah, here we go. Mini games: Outrun, Afterburner 2, arm wrestling, Hang On, Space Harrier, and darts.
It's stuff like that made Shenmue.
Yeah.
It's like you could progress through the story as quickly or as slowly as you want.
So, some people in your chat have asked me to check my Twitter regarding the possibility of Shenmue 3 on an Xbox One, linking me to a 3-year-old article, which they admit is 3 years old.
It's 3 years old, right?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. All right, so in the consensus of the article is Suzuki urged fans to use their imagination on whether any discussion had taken place with Microsoft. I don't deny the possibility. I mean, Phil Spencer at one point said they were totally aware of this, because odds are Yu Suzuki went to them at one point asking them for this possibility, and odds are they said no.
Right.
That is a big mistake.
They turned down Yakuza.
They did
Exactly. So Microsoft has a history of making a lot of mistakes with the Japanese. It's just kind of how it is. Now, I want this to be very clear. It is not impossible that Shenmue 3 ends up on Xbox One. It's just very unlikely.
Right.
It would require a whole lot of moving pieces to go a very specific way. The biggest and best thing you can do if you are an Xbox One fan who wants Shenmue 3 on Xbox One, go buy the re-release of Shenmue 1 and 2. That is the number one thing you can do.
The one saving grace you might have is you could look to Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was published by Microsoft, and then the PS4 version was published by Sony.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're talking about
Square, rather. I'm sorry, Square, rather.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the the possibility of having Deep Silver work with Microsoft in some way to allow them some maybe co-publishing rights or something. But that
precisely.
But I think
timed exclusivity. But if you had that, it would take probably at least a year. We don't actually, that's the thing. We don't know the specifics of the Sony deal. For all we know, it's a lifetime contract or it's a 5-year deal. We don't know that. That's the big X factor.
It could be one of those things where, like on the 360, what was it?
Shenmue Turbo Edition.
Shenmue Definitive Edition.
You're talking about like GTA 3 where they changed a couple things. There was a loophole. Yeah, you never know, man. Like stuff like that does actually happen and can work. The biggest problem is just we don't know the specifics of the deal. Now maybe some of those specifics were changed when Deep Silver came in, but I feel like they would have announced an Xbox One version if they were actually working on it.
Like this is stuff that we might hear about tonight or no.
I
tomorrow.
doubt we'll hear about an Xbox One version, but you never know. You could be right. I would love to be wrong about that shit. I would. Love to be wrong.
And with a 2019 release date, it's not. They've got plenty of time if they decide to do it. I mean, I've seen games that were one console or the other all the way up until We Happy Few is one because in game it was game preview for Microsoft. There was no talk of a PS4 version until Compulsion got a publisher, and then all of a sudden they added a PS4 version for the release, for the full release, and it wasn't that long to get to there. So there's time, but the other piece of it is unless they're going to use the Windows version, somebody has to develop it too. I mean, they've got to port the code and all that.
Yeah, that requires development dollars that they would either expect Deep Silver to pony up for or possibly even Microsoft. But unlike the example you used, which is a very good example, by the way, it doesn't work necessarily in reverse because Xbox One is a lower install base. So you're saying, hey, put it PS4 because it's just got a bigger base. If you do it in reverse, it's less of a selling point, especially to a Japanese developer who's like, look, Shenmue, I mean, Xbox isn't even relevant here. Like we're not going to waste our money doing this. So it's possible. It is possible, but like I keep saying, the best thing you can do, support the Xbox One version of the re-release. It's the best thing you can do.
Do you think I'm going to have me being new to it and actually playing? I mean, do you think I'm going to go through the same thing that you went through where you play the game and you didn't give a damn and then you revisited it later and then it meant the world to you?
Well, you better give a damn.
No, when I was what he's talking about is a story I told when I was a kid. When the game came out in 2000, I actually thought it sucked. I didn't get it at all. it wasn't until I replayed it like 3 years or 4 years later, something like that, where I was like, dude, this game's awesome. But originally it was too slow paced for me and I didn't get it. And then as I got older and more mature, I recognized that it was
it's more of like a mature person's game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's going to do well, man, because the average age of a gamer now is a lot older. And yeah, there is a lot more kind of slower paced, narrative driven games out there now. So I think it's going to do well.
I can't wait to hear what people think.
Well,
like newcomers.
Yeah, and that's what I'm most interested in.
Like I haven't. You don't hear newcomers talk about Shenmue these days. Like you don't hear like people's raw thoughts about it these days.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of new gamers don't understand it. I mean, if I told you as a young gamer that part of Shenmue meant you had to get up and at a certain time go to work, you would be like, "Nah, I don't want to play that game." This is not like, it goes beyond a walking simulator at that point where you have to have a job and
simulator.
you have to
Just job simulator.
I mean, it really put it all together.
That's why you don't push it that way.
Sims is the thing.
It's a very special game, man. It was so immersive.
Yeah, that's what I would say. The mundane aspect of it is what made it special. Like in the game, like you can walk around Rio's house, you can pick up oranges and look at them. Like that has no use to the player. There are so many things in those games the player has no reason to ever do, no reason to ever check on. But the fact that you can, if you choose to explore it and give it your time and your patience, is what engrosses you and makes you connect to it. And that's something that just simply not everyone has the patience for.
That's the
but
thing
we're
with
going to
Shenmue.
see. Yeah, because we're going to see now that the biggest hindrance to it back in the day was simply the install base. You had to have a Dreamcast, which only had about 10 million units sold at the time.
This is the real test now.
This is the real test because you no longer have the excuse of a low install base. You have the entirety of the Xbox One, PS4, and PC install base, which is ridiculously high. So logically, you're going to catch more people. You're not going to catch everybody. There's going to be a lot of people who don't care. There's a lot of people who play it and probably won't like it. But you will get a lot more people who are like, I get it now. And I'm excited about that because, especially with Shenmue 3 around the corner, those people are the ones you're most dependent upon. Because a lot of the people who already backed Shenmue 3 aren't going to be there to buy the game again when it comes out. We already did that part. So, and you need those new people to buy it when it hits store shelves.
By the way, when does that Slacker Backer campaign finish? Just in case anyone
the end of
wanted
this
to
month. August 31st is the last day.
Yeah. And by the way, talking about Kickstarter and stuff, there's a Shenmue documentary, right?
Yep, I'm in it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they won't know. But they won't know who you are. Come on, man. They got.
They know. The Kickstarter people do. Adam Scipione's a buddy of mine.
That's really
I can
cool,
guarantee
man,
you, Suzuki's going to be watching that.
I'm gonna email. I'm gonna write them a strongly worded letter. I'm like, how dare you?
I mean, that's just really, really cool. By the way, I find that's really awesome.
What is?
I love how
that you're
Kickstarter
in this documentary that encompasses one of my childhood favorite games.
Is it going to be on 4K Blu-ray?
I don't know about 4K. I know it will have a Blu-ray release. I mean, you can. The Kickstarter for that is still active. If you haven't supported it, you can get physical copies and all that fun stuff.
And the fact that EaseNet allowed them to come and do a documentary about the making of Shenmue 3, I have to admit,
that was one of the last stretch goals, right?
I have to admit, I did kind of put my mind at rest a little bit after having not many updates.
Well,
really.
It's still being worked on, though.
Yeah, but the fact that they're going to let this TV crew in to do a documentary about it, that definitely makes me think everything is progressing smoothly. Otherwise, they wouldn't let them in. So.
Yep, that
documentary is going to be so special because that is by the fans for fans.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I could tell you, having worked with him, because we shot footage for that documentary like 4 years ago. Like it's been in development a long time.
I saw the original trailer thing for it.
Yeah. It changed a lot because he started making it before Shenmue 3 was announced. So at one time, it was supposed to be about like this game. It fell into obscurity, and how are the fans dealing with it? To oh my God, we're actually getting the third one, to what's that quest like, all the way up to we're getting the re-release. Wow. Like it keeps changing. And that's why I think it'll be an incredibly well done movie when it's finally done, because it was literally called,
it all came together.
Yeah. Because the title was always Shenmue, A Gamer's Journey. And it actually became a journey while he was making it. And that's why I think it could be just an amazing film when it's done.
And that production has got to give some more light to the series, obviously, and bring more people in, because that's going to set all attention that we can muster onto this series in time for the third game. That's got to help.
And no one needs to worry about the production quality either. You've seen those? Did you see the cameras they're using?
Oh yeah, he puts some money down.
That's like movie quality cameaders, mate.
Yeah, this isn't like my channel. This is actually good stuff. You can watch this. And it'll look good.
It adds to the authenticity.
Yeah,
that's what made me. That's what like gave me the pass to use my camera. I was like, man, Adam does this. I remember when Adam would talk, and I would hear either it's one or two things: either a train or his air conditioner would go off.
Oh yeah, they still do that. But I have a better. I use a lav mic now, so at least that problem's kind of mitigated.
Well, I think this is a good spot to end the show. It was a good night, an hour and a half.
Right,
that was a good show.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys seriously for making it out. I know Mike was really excited to come on the show. Saab, he knows Corey Marshall.
This is the most excited I've been for the whole year.
So literally after today is going to be like downhill, I guess is what you're saying.
No, because we're getting Shenmue 3 news tomorrow.
Shenmue comes out tomorrow, man.
Oh, well, he has it already.
And I'll tell you.
Not only does Shenmue 1 and 2 come out tomorrow, we get Shenmue 3 news tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, tomorrow is Shenmue Day, man. This is big.
Heck yeah. And I will do the Xbox community a solid, and that's the platform I'll get it on because
you have Microsoft credit.
No. if there's any controller that is as close to the Dreamcast controller as humanly possible, it is the Xbox controller, and I am going to play the game in classic control because
that's not just that we got to do that purchasing thing so that way they see that we're buying it on Xbox. I suppose
I'm getting it on both anyway.
Man, you got like 72 copies, man. You're getting it on everything.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of disposable income.
Adam.
Well, you got to remember, Saab has no wife, no kids, and no life.
Must be.
Bro,
nice.
I'm 20. This is the time to invest in stuff like that.
You're allowed to, because let me tell you, my collections from this current generation is like this big. But I got glass cases with all my old stuff, and that's when I was in my youth. Like I had disposable income. I was not.
You're getting the that translucent blue PS4, right?
I thought about that, right? Believe it or not, I wanted to get that until I saw that presentation with the NVIDIA
Foundry
show. NVIDIA show today, and I thought, like, I wasn't even I'm not trying to be funny. I just thought, wow, this makes me not want to invest in any console or buy anything ever, because the second you buy something, NVIDIA comes out with something, and that's 20 times the power or bandwidth or anything that we're used to now. So I'm like,
I'm looking at my Xbox One X right now in disgust.
It takes like 20 of your Xboxes to like do what their GPU, their new cards do. I'm like sitting here like, and I was just about to buy the translucent PS4 Pro. And I'm like, but it'll take like 15 pros to do what this card does. I'm like, nah.
And we're talking about games that originated from the Dreamcast.
So I felt disgusting. That presentation made me feel irresponsible with my money. I'm gonna figure out what's gonna happen. I don't want to go PC gaming. I gotta wait and see how Xbox and PS5 looks. Or in the new Switch that's rumored to render in 4K, which I doubt. I'm sure it'll be upscale.
Hopefully we'll be hearing about that, if it's true, sometime this week.
This week for Gamescom. Well, thanks, gentlemen, once more. Adam, thanks, man. I hope this helps us for future shows, because it's been, I think, 2 years since we last.
Yeah, this is our third one?
Yeah, this is our third one, yeah.
Well, right on. Happy third anniversary or whatever.
Well, it was good. I just had Seamus on, and then to have you and Corey Marshall on is like...
Yeah, I'm fanboying out, man.
Big deal for me, man.
No, you got Ben. Ben's the real hero here.
Yeah. Oh, no. Remember, you got to give Ben some credit.
I do, because
Ben actually has the word Shenmue in his name. He's the best of us.
I named my channel Shenmueso when it was still an obscure game. Like, it was a call out to something that hardly anybody kind of really knew about, and now it's current. I'm thinking, I don't know if I really want my channel to be called that, because I don't only talk about Shenmue, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah, you said, I remember on your live stream, you said you wanted to change the name, right?
Yeah, I might do, because I can see in the future I'm probably going to focus mainly on PSVR. That's my passion now. I've completely been bowled over by that, but yeah, probably not a good time to change the name when there's lots of Shenmue stuff to talk about.
Let me give you advice from someone who's changed their game
3 times.
Please give me advice.
Twice. Keep the name. Do a playlist. You know how Adam has his monthly gets that he gets for his games, and
which I love.
His revisits or his revisits that influenced my show that I did. It's in the playlist. It's called Game Buffet, not the podcast that we're on now, but I did a show in a game store, which was where the Game. I don't think anybody's ever done that ever.
By the way, this is totally unrelated, but I know you guys will love this. What up, Johnny? Happy Console Gamers in your comment thread.
No
really?
Way.
He's listening. Enjoy.
Oh my god.
We were just talking about you earlier, dude. How you and I were on the phone.
The Johnny Millennium's here.
Yeah, he's in the comments. What's up, buddy?
I'm sweating.
That's pretty cool.
That guy has the most infectious enthusiasm on YouTube. It's ridiculous.
You can't. If anyone hasn't heard of Johnny Millennium's YouTube channel, Happy Console Gamer, you will watch one video, you will be going down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, it's good times.
Well, can you do me a favor? I have everybody here linked in the comment section below for Twitter. Could you give us a follow? And I'm not even going to do that thing where it's please retweet my show. I just want to be able to talk to you, man, because that's cool. That's badass. I never thought this would happen, but then again, I've had a few people stop by who I never thought it would happen. Adam on Novocaine. Adam on Novocaine.
I'm good now, man.
I can't believe I just talked to Corey Marshall. I can't believe I'm talking to Adam.
Yo.
And I can't believe Happy Console Gamers in the chat.
What about Seamus, man? We talked to Seamus.
Dude, Ben is right here.
Yeah, Seamus too. And Ben.
And Ben.
And that guy, Ben.
I appreciate Ben for being the least creepiest and least alpha guy to follow me on Twitter as of late. Because usually I just send tweets to get on the nerves of your alpha fanboys that are all you said what about my console? What? Anyways, well, thank you everybody once more. It was a great show. This is Too Much Food. Thanks for stopping by for another show. Please don't forget to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
guys.